Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. Today I want to comment on the current situation in the Middle East and how it is seen from a German or European perspective. So many people, meaning one person, asked me to comment on this, and yeah, why not? I want to structure this little talk as following. First, I want to tell you how the German elites are reacting to this situation, then what kind of framing you see in most media publications, then what I think the average German or the German population thinks about that and what side they're on and what kind of sentiments they harbor towards these two groups, the special chosen people and the Palestinians. And then in the end, I maybe say a couple of words about what I think about that, how we should tackle this, or how we should behave as Germans here. All right. So first of all, our elites. You have to really differentiate here, I think. So we have a lot of elites right now, for a long time already, who are very, very leftist, very communist, the old hippie generation and stuff like that. They're really communists. And they're, of course, really on the side of the Palestinians. It is because the PLO under Arafat, they were socialists, and they were seen as the international socialist league or members of that, and that is why they're seeing Israel really as a colonial project, Zionism basically. So at least emotionally, they are absolutely on the side of Palestine here. But then again, you also have really strong transatlanticism, that's how you call it, pretty much many transatlantic people. And the Green Party is a special case because they have all these old commies, but at the same time, there is no other party in Germany that has a stronger transatlantic line than the Green Party. Like they're pushing for war and support Ukraine, etc. The strongest out of all parties, and you would expect the Union parties, the Christian centrist Democrats, that they would do that because traditionally they're really on the side of Washington. But it is the Green Party right now that does that. But nevertheless, they're really at least their heart, if they have one, is on the side of the Palestinians. That is for sure. However, there was this declaration now at the UN, and Germany, they didn't vote yes or no, they abstained. And that is already seen as a big move away from this pro-Israel position. As you might know, the safety of Israeli people, or the special chosen people, and the state of Israel is the Staatsräson of the Federal Republic of Germany. That means, I don't know the definition of that word really, but it is understood as one of the highest goals of state action should be that. So that means the reason for the German state to exist, or the highest goal that they should pursue, is to ensure the comfort, safety, and a continuation of that state. So Germany right now is not really so much pursuing this course. So we're kind of in between, even though we should be completely and utterly and without any nuance or exception, we should be absolutely pro-Israel, because this is what the Federal Republic always was about. So, moving on to the media, maybe, you see that a lot of mainstream media outlets, they are absolutely pro-Israel, and they're making they're making that very clear. However, there are some exceptions there, here and there, but overall, very pro-Israel, I would say. And I think there is not much more to say because of the ownership of these of these publishing houses and stuff, it is not really a big question, not really something you have to think long about. Okay, now what do I think the German population thinks? And that is more interesting, I think, because first of all, and I will comment on that in a later video maybe, we have of course a lot of migrants from Turkey or the Arabic world. Yeah, and I think it is pretty obvious what side they're on, right? That is pretty obvious. And they're now really demonstrating, if you want to call it mostly peaceful demonstrations, we should say that's the proper wording, right? We see that on the streets of Frankfurt and Berlin. They have these skirmishes with law enforcement, and I mean, maybe it's not as bad as in France right now in Germany, but France is really afraid of yet another domestic conflict situation with these colorful people now because of Israel. I mean, France, for example, they cannot afford to outright support Israel because then Paris would burn. And in Berlin or in Germany, it's not as bad, but it is the same principle is at play here. And migrants, they used to be not really politicized, but now they are. And that is changing. This situation is changing. They're really becoming a political pressure group in Germany. So Germany also, just like France, we cannot really afford to say, oh, we just support Israel. Because then, it will be very dangerous on the streets of, well, it is already very dangerous in Germany, as you know, but it would be even more dangerous then. Like, I think representatives of the state would openly be attacked then on the street by these exotics. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then let's look at the population in Germany that is indigenous. Yeah, well, there I must say it's even more interesting because all the brainwashing post World War II and all this infiltrating our school and education system, it finally brought about the interesting situation that this anti-colonialist lens has been firmly established here in the heads of a lot of indoctrinated people in Germany. So what do you think? Who do you think they identify the special chosen people with, huh? Yeah, they made it by indoctrination so that they are seen by the German population as quasi-Europeans or as Europeans, like high IQ, civilized European people. And who are the Palestinians then? Oh, they're of course the poor, oppressed brown people, the noble savage. Yeah, and now these indoctrinated Germans, who do they root for? On what side are they on? Yeah, have a wild guess. Yeah, so I don't know if there are like surveys or polls about that, but I just think that the average population in Germany, even the indigenous Germans, they're either meh or I think more of them would be rather siding with the Palestinians by now. Of course, maybe a couple of weeks ago at the event, this raid or this kind of, oops, what was that? This special operation from the side of the Palestinians, this attack out of Gaza. There, of course, on that day, they were, of course, they said this is horrible, poor Israelis and so forth. But right now, when you see what the Israeli response is like, and once again, indoctrination of Europeans, we were indoctrinated to believe that you have to turn the other cheek, because this is what happens in Germany. I mean, in Europe, so many victims of these, of many savage people, of savage attacks, but we're never told that it's okay to retaliate. So how would these indoctrinated Europeans think if there is a group that directly retaliates, even with, you might argue, if you want to, with more brutality or with higher casualties, what have you, than the original attacks that they're retaliating against. So the longer these this rate, or sorry, how should I say? The more time goes by after this raid, and with the Israeli response that you see now, the more public opinion here swings towards favoring the Palestinian side, actually. All right, so what do I think about all this? Well, at this point, I would just say we should not fund either side, and we are funding both sides. I mean, everyone knows that the EU and Germany is supporting Israel financially and in many other ways, military aid, what have you, submarines and etc. But we're also funding the Palestinian side, of course. We're spending hundreds of millions, maybe in all in all, if you sum it up, then it's probably billions over the last decades. And you can say once again, oh, this is just humanitarian aid, like food and shelter and clothes and medicine. Yeah, but who rules in the Gaza Strip? It's Hamas, of course. And if you give PLO, for example, or however they call themselves now, if you give them money for food and medicine, or even if you just run hospitals there, for example, yeah, that frees up other budget items or other sums in the budget to use for, well, guess what? Arms. And if you, and I think many people know this example, if you want to build like a water supply system, you give them water pipes, hollow cylindrical objects, basically. I mean, do you think those end up in the ground and water is run through them to supply residential areas with water? Maybe not. Maybe they let them fly through the air rather. So of course we are totally funding this whole Palestinian operation, more or less directly, I would argue, and I don't think that's great. I think this is absolutely not our conflict, and once again, my opinion is we should just let them handle their own affairs and not bother so much. Anyway, let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Servus, Kameraden.